To call roll on the present Mayor Pro Tem Railking. Councilmember McClellan is not here. He is a medical absence. Councilmember Moses. Present. Councilmember Smith. Present. Councilmember Swinson.
Present.
And Carlos Colvin for our invocation.
Oh,
And if you would please lead us the pledge to be done.
that's correct, David.
Thank you so much.
And I want to thank the council and for their patience the past couple of months, and also for Councilmember McClellan for leading a prayer in my absence. So our prayers are with you as well. Would you bow your heads and let us pray? Almighty God, we want to give you thanks first of all for this nation of ours, for the blessings you have showered upon it. We give you thanks for those who have served faithfully, given of their time, their energy, and their very health and welfare for the freedoms that we have. We thank you for our leaders. We thank you for our law enforcement, for our troops and military, for their families. We pray, Lord God, for safety and grace and provision for them. And we thank you for all who serve. Lord God, we ask that you bless now the leaders of this community. Bless all the discussion that is done during this time. We pray that we would remember to honor you first and to love each other. Remember to serve one another. That we are called to show our love for you by the way we treat one another. We pray right now, Lord God, for your blessing that we feel your presence. We now commit ourselves to you, and we once again thank you for all the rain you've given to us. And without being disrespectful, we ask for all that you would like to send to us. We now ask, Lord God, a blessing on this time and on each other. In Jesus' holy name. Amen. Now, if you'll join me, I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Announcements. Bird band is not on. And we're after a rough stretch, we're at stage 2. Water restrictions hopefully will stay there, not improve. That's about it for announcements. We have looks like 2 people signed up for public comments. Miss Martin.
Hi, I'm Brenda Martin, and I'm going to for the streetscape, talk about the streetscape. You probably saw this in the newspaper about people I'm going to do a call in streetscape. Starting our fundraising, but I wanted to just go back over it because it didn't start just recently. It started way back when our downtown was, we had historic district set up in downtown. And so that's back in the 1990s. And so then it went to 2003 and 4 when we started the comprehensive master plan. When at the city council, people had been asking for a comprehensive master plan. And so downtown revitalization and preservation was part of that. And then from that, it went to the visionary and preservation. And so we went from 2005 to 2007 to now. And so we are back down to streetscape now. And we will be doing our fundraising. And I just wanted to dig in on where we are on that. I just want to say this. I'm so glad because this is 10 years now for the comprehensive master plan. And finally, we're going to get it updated. We've had pieces of update, I believe, and here and there, but the whole thing hasn't been updated before. And Bobby might give you all a message about this the other night, and I think he's going to again tonight because he was the first one of the first ones that was on the steering committee. So city council, I was on the city council. And it was fun to get to pick all the steering committee people and then arrange all the meetings and be a part of it for all these 20 years. And so I just want to share that with you all.
Thank you so much. And we have a letter submitted by Allison Leeser.
This is a citizen letter concerning a bypass. Allison Leeser. I was called by council member Rodney Threadkill about the bypass, and I wanted to make sure my sentiments are clarified after speaking with him. My perspective is that Blanco has a past of missed opportunities. The oil pipeline could have financially benefited quality community growth. Zero lot line housing destroys our beloved small town charm, and our historic square is half empty while claiming we're a tourist town. But it seems we're really just another hill country town suffering a slow death of ignorance. Growth is coming. Blanco will need to get on board and have a say or get swept away in power. That's how development, capitalism, and gentrification works. Blanco has no upper hand here. At best, our town is stuck from being small-minded and petty. Blanco can't just keep taking their ball and going home because home is about to change forever. Because towns drastically change when a bypass comes in, the traffic has to be relieved, and business is where traffic is. Out with the old and in with the new, it's reality. It can't be stopped. It's never been stopped. The way you preserve a small town is by actually creating it in the future, with money from growth in the form of a low density, high quality, historical based, slow lifestyles to be appreciated by families that want slow living and rural lifestyles. We need to cultivate that here. Where is that thriving in Blanco? We're barely surviving. We can't lose control of the growth or pretend it will go away. We'll be lucky if we don't have something catastrophic happen to our utility system. Even luckier if we can start taking action to protect our town by working with TxDOT. Our best bet is that we have some way over the bypass and how to merge with development there. It can fund our growth in good, controlled way. If not, get ready for a wave to swallow us entirely, completely, after it brings us dry for the best prices first, of course. Anywhere else cheaper to buy between San Antonio and Austin? I didn't think so. Developers are just waiting for this, and they'll be laughing all the way to the bank when they buy up all of the country land cheap and sell it off to Walmart and crap food store places. The online TxDOT map allowed the folks to comment. Most said the in-town yellow route is best. It's the most obvious route and has been for 20 years. We're 40 minutes to 3 HEBs who do the math. Our schools will be there next, the first. Most folks communicate, but we need support here. We desperately need parks, rec, and community help for our families and kids, crazy kids. We need better health care for the older generation. Big things are coming like that. Either way, this can benefit us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and we are honored to have our principal, George Washington. Honored by Mr. Blair,
Rudy, Blair, citizens. I understand it's a very long meeting this evening. Just looking at the photograph of Mayor, I don't know what to finish. Would you like to read the proclamation?
Sure, absolutely.
There's one challenging word in there. It's indomitable.
Whereas the United States of America was established following the War of Revolution from 1776 to 1783, a war won through the brilliant and courageous leadership of George Washington, revered father of our nation. And whereas George Washington, who lived from 1732 to 1799, mobilized the Continental Army and led the American colonies against the most powerful country in the world, finally defeating the British in the famous Battle of Yorktown, Virginia. And whereas the revered father of our nation resisted the efforts of many supporters to make him a king or dictator, instead using his influence and power to to support the creation and adoption of the Constitution of the United States. And whereas George Washington was elected as the first president of the United States, serving 2 terms of office from 1789 to 1797, and through his devotion, wisdom, and vision, became the exemplar of distinguished leadership for all future presidents. And whereas the San Antonio chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution wished to encourage all citizens to recognize the epochal the contributions of George Washington to our nation by celebrating his birth on Tuesday, February 22nd, 2024. Now, therefore, I, Mike Arnold, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, city of Glencoe, do hereby proclaim February 22nd, 2024 as President George Washington Day, and call upon all citizens to recognize and honor the brilliance, courage, and vision of the father of our nation and the relevance of his life to the preservation of our democracy in today's complex world.
It's actually Thursday, that's okay. The 22nd is an important day. There we go. That it says, yeah,
I'll edit it here.
as you wish. George Washington was a phenomenal man at his own time. At the end of his second term in office, he decided that he had enough and wanted to go back and be a farmer. He made a very long farewell speech, and I encourage everyone here in the chamber to actually read it. It's a little difficult because the English language is a little different back. He goes on towards the end of that speech and really decries the formation of what he called factions, which we now call political parties. And that these factions would indeed end up being a bit of a challenge down the road. I think he was very clairvoyant in that observation. And we really need to work together. Proclamation.
Absolutely.
You have a very long meeting. I'll get you out of here. Ms. Liddy.
I come around here, we do
Like,
like that.
turn the flag if you like. Okay. Would you like to start?
If not, could I turn that, if the chief will let us.
Let's do that. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe get them all in.
All right, thank you. Hold on this first. We gotta.
Sure, we should take that with you. Cut to the chief now.
Thank you.
Look forward to the 22nd in honor of the.
Thank you.
So there's like a problem with your-
I can take it with what? Thank you much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Good job. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
You got your present?
Yes, that's so nice. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you.
Right, okay, we'll help get the hearing. Full of proposed amendments to the Uniform Development Code on block size. Have nobody signed up for that.
Okay, so we open and.
Close the public hearing, since there's nobody in the public that wants to do it. Alrighty, presentation, Robin back. Conference left, that's quick.
Thank you, council. We did a quick update on progress so far. A little bit of the project timeline.
Thank you.
What happens to this?
Oh,
wow.
so here's my, thank you for that. I wasn't sure if I sent that early enough through the schedule this afternoon. It's easier to look at on one page than the project management software that comes on about 20 pages. In the process now, just to start, in February, I got to work trying to determine a proper formation of the committee. And there's a lot of groups need to be represented in this. Make sure I've got some talking points here. And I've just got about 5 minutes, just a quick update for you guys. But as you can see from the timeline, I think I'm a little bit aggressive here. If we can go through this just briefly, but I'll talk about the committee first and then maybe kind of go through the timeline. I believe I'm a little bit aggressive. This states that we will bring a draft to the C&D updated draft to the council in October. I think that's pretty aggressive. Obviously, the long haul of the cat may be us hearing from TxDOT, what route they're proposing to do, that's gonna drive some of those decisions. So I push it to the right. Close just involvement and as busy as everyone is, I suspect this November date for the final draft to be presented could be February or March next year, so a year-long project. And, not coincidentally, but looking back on all the history of the 2004 comprehensive master plan, that was also a 12-month project. I think there were about 12 months there. There's some consistent work to get there. The first step, as you'll see in February here, is to develop the project goals. I think we have a pretty good idea of that we want to update the master plan. And I do like the idea of using that long-term vision of Blanco for 10 or 15 years forward. What do we want Blanco to be 10 years from now? What can it be 10 years from now? I think that pretty much makes the goal an easy choice. I intend to start with the structure that LCRA brought to us when they facilitated the CAP. It's pretty lined out on what they're going to accomplish. And that's what I follow putting this format together. In the process now of defining the steering committee, and I'll go into that in a minute, and recruiting and orienting potential committee members of what we're asking them to do. Now in March, we go to final, I'd like to have the committee finalized by March, and then have the first steering committee work session. It may not be a formal action meeting, but likely more just a mixer, so everybody gets to meet each other. I've spoken with Tim, our city attorney, on the governance of this and what our options are for the size of the committee and the quorum. So I'm following his guidance on that. I also think it's important. Many of the other organizations in the town have trouble meeting the quorum and getting consistent action. So I would like to use technology as much as possible and allow virtual presence in the meeting. So we'll have meetings here, of course, but they can also come in by Zoom, and the public can witness these meetings, especially meetings where they're not workshops. We're going to take actual action, make some decisions. Again, this is just a recommending body. At the end of all this, the council will be updated regularly on progress. If there's any consternation or difficult decisions, I think that should be brought to council. And so this is just, I want to make it clear that this is not, we're not making any code or rules. This is going to be a council action. Just kind of going through some of the timeline real quickly. One of the first steps is there's community organizations. This is an easy way to get started, I think. We have some critical questions to go to the community organizations such as the Blanco Ministry Alliance, Historic Commission, schools, youth groups, Lions, Masons, etc., the library groups, the Friends of the Night Sky, and just ask 4 or 5 questions that they can bring back to the steering committee early on prior to the more formal survey. What is it that's unique about Blanco? This makes Blanco special. What do we want to see Blanco be in 10 years? Just basically, broad brush questions like that. I think it's a good place to start from all of this. We gather that in. That would hopefully we have those questions formalized in May and given to those community groups. Give them about a month to do that. Looking through this and I'll get to some kind of we have several things to discuss, of course. But one of the first actions besides we'll send out some published survey questions in April by this timeline. Again, this may all be pushed to the right. We'll publish a full community survey, similar to what's done with other activities, and then have the first town hall meeting, likely right before we want all those answers back and file a full community survey. So I think it's important to have that first town hall meeting before everybody finalizes those answers, so they can ask questions, understand exactly what it is they're going to do. And just following this through, we would have likely about the June council meeting, we have subcommittee presentations. Some of the subcommittees that I think should be developed out of this, or community a utility committee, a transportation committee, of course, tourism and economic development, utility infrastructure, water resources. We'll have a legal subcommittees and some advisors on the legal side of this, of course. Those subcommittees are going to be important to really build a larger vision and not just to create a document that is not executed. So we'll have the June, July timeframe, we'll have these subcommittees also talk about that. There'll be some feedback needed from the council, of course. Is this important? Is this important? For example, this may be what the community wanted. How does this fit in some of the larger vision? And attention to the council is always important. Kind of wrapping up here about on the timeline. If we can meet this timeline by July, the heavy lifting starts. We'll have a second town hall meeting in to kind of deliver all the results of the surveys, get more feedback. The heavy lifting will start in about July, and I've got 3 months carved out for what I consider the heavy lifting and actually drafting the updated comprehensive master plan. That's a big activity. It will take several meetings and a lot of hard work from the drafting committee that will be formed on this larger comprehensive master plan. Then that's how I got to October. We'll deliver the draft to the council. We have some work sessions in September before that draft to get some final feedback from the council. This is where we're going to be directing. And then in November, if we can meet this timeline, which is a little bit iffy, but we will hopefully bring the final draft for approval. So if we can do that by the end of the year, I think that's a great thing to happen. I do expect it will be pushed out, especially if we get the budget and textile decisions. Then I think the next steps from that will be determined as we go. But in my opinion, we need, having been involved in the first master plan, there was no real execution. It was just this document that seemed to just sit on the shelf and go, this is what everybody wants. And I think we should have some sort of ongoing effort, whether it's a standing committee, whether it's a foundation to help us get the funding. This ends up being in our effort, obviously, over 10 years, we need structure around that. I think an important goal here to get that sort of support from the larger community and the people that can really see what Blanco can be, is for us to create a plan that everybody agrees on, that common vision, and then we have some structure in place to make sure it's executed and it can survive different councils that may come in here. Obviously, the council's charge, but I think I mentioned this in the last thing. A template I hope to follow as I get some more information on this was the way they did the Pearl Brewery revitalization. It was boarded up for a decade or two, and the council, the city council in San Antonio, and some others, interested parties created this foundation that its sole charge was to be a funding vehicle and an execution vehicle. So that vision of revitalizing that river, that portion of the river, extending the river walk and the brewery, that whole complex. In my opinion, again, I think it takes some sort of execution mechanism. Say this plan is not just going to go on the shelf. It's going to happen. Any questions about the timeline so far?
Great. So this is following up on one question. How many, you got a vision of how this is going to be. How many participants, how many volunteers, what number of people are going to be involved in it? I understand it, for the whole community is going to come together with the town hall meetings, but how many volunteers are you looking
for? As many as I can get, but I do have to. So,
what's your goal?
Again, it goes back to the importance of the representations. It'll be a larger committee than we're used to having for some of the other things I believe is necessary. And I think it's important that all factions and all points of view are welcomed because if we're going to meet that goal of a unified vision where we can stand together as a community and say, this is what we want to do, then we need to hear from everyone. So just represented on the committee, I have a list here: the planning and zoning, historic district, transportation committee, infrastructure committee, chamber of commerce, Blanco ISD, Friends of the Night Sky, Blanco County, which would be one or both of the commissioners, business owners, local business owners, groundwater district, and local realtors. Just in that alone, we've got 10 or 12 groups we want to represent. Now, some of those may represent one single member, may represent two of those groups. The working number I have here with the folks, and also just members of the community at large. I'm sure leave 2 or 3 spaces just for members of the community at large. That could be a committee as big as 15. And speaking to Tim, our city attorney, he indicated that perhaps 1/3 of that, a quorum of 1/3, would not be appropriate. I like that idea personally because we have larger participation. We don't need to cancel meetings. 5 or 15 at a meeting, coming virtually. So that's my working number right now. There's a committee of 15. I've been interviewing folks that are interested over the last 2 or 3 weeks, last month or so, and there's 6 or 7 that have said, yes, I'm interested. I should be ready to have that list put together early March. And input from you guys is obviously important. That's the working number, 15 with a quorum of 5. That answers my question. Also, I think it's important we have some advisory members. For example, we need water advisors, we need legal advisors, utility infrastructure advisors, workforce development, and career and business incubators. And some of the discussions I've had is building some business incubators, small business incubators in the community, which would allow other small businesses to move to town, also allow our students when they graduate to have places to go to work, so we don't have a mass exodus of students that some small towns deal with. Economic development advisors. So I've got the legal, water, utility infrastructure, communications industry. Some of you have heard me say this. I think if there's a trench in a road somewhere on the place of utility, conduit for future fiber there, if not the fiber itself. It's pretty cheap just to put the conduit in the ground, and we have a city, speaking of the weed line, we have a city and reasonable for any future communications expansion. So I think I've had a couple of conversations with nationwide communications experts that can advise our steering committee. This is what's possible. This is possible. This is very close considerations for making Blanco a smart city, for example. So I think all things should be on the table like that. So in addition to approximately 15 community members, we have 6 or 8 advisory members that would follow on a presentation or to work with the subcommittee to develop. Have that communication expert come in and work with our communication infrastructure. See what is possible. So, I think I'm done. I think I've covered just about everything. Any other questions before I close up here?
Yes, Bobby, and this, you may be able to fill me in. This might be a question for staff as well, but we did submit an application for a grant to assist in the writing of the comprehensive master plan. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I am, and I think that would be fantastic.
I'm just wondering how that fits into your plan or if it does at all.
I'm hopeful that we can do that because really the heavy lifting comes from actually creating the document, herding all the cats and all the ideas and all the information into a document. I'm okay facilitating this as we go, because I was deeply involved when the LCRA was doing that, and I was up to speed on how they did the surveys and how they did the town hall meetings. So if we can get that assistance, the earlier the better, but at the very least, I'd like to see that by the time we get to the initial creation of the document.
And at the end of your timeline, next November, is that?
Yeah, about November. Well, actually, no, we restart the heavy lifting about June or July.
Okay.
So I don't know how that fits into the plan.
So yeah, if staff has anything to add, I'd be curious.
Yeah, I think it's I'll do it as a volunteer effort until I get some help, and then volunteers. There's going to be a little bit of heavy lifting, but I think it's important enough that we don't wait. We don't wait for funding or a grant. So,
If I want to just add something, so even if you had $200,000 to do the project and you had professionals do, you still need a group like Bobby's talking about to really involve the public. That's actually more important than the actual writing of the document, make sure that everybody's on board. But having said that, this is for becoming a community. So let's say his group already got in front of it, and there's, let's say, $250,000 given by the GLO. If that was the case, the council could actually, instead of just doing the comp plan, will also look at a revision of the UDC. So this vehicle he's creating could help with that, but also that those funds, however large the amount, if we're asking for 300,000, whatever the amount is, could do more than just the comp plan. That could do other things, could do other land planning things that the city needs.
Yeah, just to kind of close up here, I appreciate your support, and I'll be asking for a lot of folks' support. And I think it's, the important thing to me is to have a unified vision, so we can all get on the same page. And hear all stakeholders' points of view, and just talk through all of this. Let's talk, I prefer to talk to both sides of the issue and say, well, maybe thought about this, what's the downside? If I get my way, I would like somebody to say, what if you get your way? So I think it's important that we keep an open mind, and that's going to be my approach and my goal. And so I just like to close with a couple of things. I've been working on the streetscape committee since August, September, and it's our goal with that. I don't want to take the time talking about that today necessarily, but I think the streetscape project moving forward, hopefully in 2025, could be the nugget that can inspire everybody into this 10-year vision. And so our fundraising goal now for streetscape is to raise enough money that by the time we get to the end of the year, hopefully sooner, we have all the civil engineering and all the surveys and all the conceptual plans and the input from everybody in the historic district in this book. It kind of pops to on the sidewalk, for example, where we can get to construction ready drawings and put out the bid for construction that actually do construction in 2025. I think that would inspire the community to think long term about that 10-year plan. I think it would inspire folks in the larger community, and blind fans and benefactors of blind help to help us raise the money to do that streets. So it all kind of ties together, but to do that, we need that shared vision. And so I'd like to finish with a quote from Francis Chan. I want to see petty division replaced by an unwavering unity. So I truly believe that if we listen to each other and we respect each other, we can have our petty divisions be replaced with unwavering unity. And that's what it's going to take to have that 10-year vision. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chamber of Commerce, Libby, you're up.
Good evening, council. All right, I know we're going quick, we're moving quick. So, in my report that I give you guys every quarter, I like to give you a few images. You can move on of what we have done. So in October, and you can go as quick as I go. This is the Texas Highways events calendar. Texas Highways in October. I think I mentioned it the last time, but I'm not sure. We did have a tagline of just a Hill Country driveway, and we changed to small town big Texas. So just to switch it up so people don't think they've seen the same thing all the time. This was a TexasHighways.com banner ad, and it moved like that. Shows up as targeted advertising to people on Facebook. We printed a new wrap card, again with the small town big Texas, and we updated the yearly events and things to do. Some of the dates of our yearly events have changed, like the courthouse lighting, the parade, things like that. So that's up to date. Moving on, Texas Highways February 2024. That's technically not in that last quarter, but we paid for it in the last quarter. So here's the image. And then we did another banner ad on TexasHighways.com for February. We chose February for that banner ad particularly because there's not a lot of hotel stays in February. Our hotel stays are down, and
it's Valentine's Day, sometimes, you know, people want to get out of the big city and get something a little bit small and more romantic, so there's that. The next one, I mentioned to you all the last time we spoke about the top 5 flourishing art attractions in Blanco, Texas. This is a copy of just the first page of our touretexas.com website. Under more info there, after you get past attractions, those 7 ways to experience the very best of the hill country and on down, those are native Texan campaigns, which are SEO rich, extra pages on our Tour Texas page that people can explore with the links and blah, blah, blah. And we focused this last time on the art attractions. Unfortunately, one of our art galleries is about to close down, but the rest of them stand. So if you guys haven't ever explored this page, I encourage you to do so. The next page that Sasha was trying to show you is this content engagement report that we get from Tour Texas. The dates of this are just in the last quarter, October to December. And so they actually give you a dollar amount, an economic impact dollar amount. It also tells you how many people requested a PDF of the visitor's guide, downloaded the visitor's guide, how many page views we had, Facebook click-throughs. And you can probably see it a little bit better in the packet that you have. But we get really good information off of this page on it. Whenever you log in, you can get whatever dates you want. But we used to send out visitors guides where people would request them. Now it's all digital. So we're able to reach a lot more people and still remains a really good value. So the next slide, this is, you guys saw this the last time. This is a search and creative campaign that we did. The search campaign was from October 1st to October 31st. We made a search and creative campaign from September 15th to October 31st. So this is, it's kind of hard to see up here and you guys have the information in front of you, but our search performance and creative performance remains really, really good. An average click, CPC, a click rate is 97 cents, 35% under the benchmark of what normally people pay for that. This second page here that lists all the things, what's important to note is in the search keywords, they're going off of what people are putting in when they Google search hill country. So without even using our name, just by putting in Texas Hill Country, Blanco's at the top of the list. It also gives you a breakdown of the most places that people are from that are searching us: San Antonio, Houston, Helotes, Fort Worth, and Braunfels. So some of these aren't too far away, which is interesting, but those are still people that are coming and then clicking on the links to find out about staying here, which, by the way, is the most popular out of the 3 images, the 3 sections that they are gathering information on. At 10.22%. That's a click-through rate on the search campaigns. So, and again, I'll give kudos to Mr. Arnold when he was on our chamber board. He encouraged us to go this route with some of our help, and it's been very, very beneficial. We have another one coming up in the early spring that we'll get reports on. And I'll get one more report in March off of all of last year's. So then at the request of Hazel Smith, I gave you a lot of financial information. What you have here is a copy of our general ledger out of our QuickBooks account, which again, we keep all profits separate in a separate QuickBooks account we always have. It has its own bank account, so no money is ever mingling. So you've got our general ledger. You also just have a check register, and then you also have the check register from the checking account. So you can see what our balance is and where we've spent our money. You'll see in here an item for Copilot Creative. That is an institute that we use out of New Braunfels. He helps us with those banner ads. Right, that side we get those done. You see the payments to Chamber for admin and the Orlando County Courthouse for actually operating as the visitor center. And then most all of these Texas Department of Transportation, those are ads. And if you have any questions about which ones are which, I can tell you that. reprinting of the rat cards. We did, fund Jim and the Hills $500 for a third party request from them to advertise for a film night. Last quarter, we did, it's not represented here because it's before, but we did give, Real El Brewing Company a $2,000 disbursement. They filled out the forms to advertise for Real El members back up, and I got a nice hot fund report back from them with everything that they did. So their strengths, they did represent, I think about 20-25 votes on United States. So not as huge a number as they wanted to spend in the night, but still a decent return. We did, the Hills for Indie Film Night this quarter, and also Christensen Gallery, requested money that was given for $1,000 to promote this. It starts this weekend, and then the next one, after that. Any questions? So, yeah.
We're doing more paper.
You're welcome. Anytime, and I keep a nice binder of all of the color copies of all of these ads if you ever want to see them, and the new Texas Travel Guide. I got the pre-issue will go out in big disbursement in March, but the ad looks really nice. So.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, now we're moving on to staff presentation. It's in the hall, and I have Sasha. You're up.
Okay, hello everybody. So I'm already switched hats. I'm already in February, so I had to go over this so I can remember. The main thing about this quarter is the timing on all the funds. So we get a lot of our ad valorem taxes resources coming in. I mean, we get it throughout October through December, but most of it starts hitting a big amount in January. So I know that Warren sent y'all out January's financials. It's way different than what you see in December, which we're heading in the right direction, which is great. But so on your general fund, you're going to show that you have, of course, in the whole, and again, that has to do with your ad valorem taxes and the timing of when they actually come in. And a lot when you first start your year, a lot of department heads and subscriptions and things like that come up. So in the first quarter, normally your expenses are going to be higher than your revenue. Going to the enterprise report, y'all probably looking at this and saying, what the heck? Again, that is a timing issue. We had a lot of our capital projects that we had to pay in December for the, process, the work construction process. So the bills are hitting there, but we had grants and money that came in actually in January. So if you saw your January report by chance with the grants that weren't sent out, it actually washes this out. So we, like I said, we had a lot of capital improvements that hit here, but the money actually didn't trickle until January. So again, that's just a timing issue of why that is quite large. And I kind of listed the funds down there at the bottom of what we spent for those improvements in December. INS, that only comes periodically when you get the bill. So right now it's looking pretty. Also on your municipal court, you're again hardly anything spent. It's just the revenue that's coming in. Then when you go to your hotel motel, normally Chamber of Commerce, we give them $90,000 for the budget in the year. We give them $22,500 in a quarter, but this quarter they actually asked for a little more for things up front that they were had projects going. So we did give them. That's why it shows out there. There's a little more that we spent in the year to date. But again, we had the funds. We just
The remainder of the $90,000.
right. And I just wanted to give y'all a little investment here showing how much we have received for all our funds out there in just the first quarter from October through December. We have made $45,000 just in interest. With me keeping up with the funds in Texas Regional and moving it out to Texas Class, I constantly do transfers but I try to keep the lump sum out there in Texas class so we get the biggest bang for our buck, so it helps us throughout the year.
What's your original figure that you predicted, 60,000 for the year? So it's gone far above.
It
what
has
you
gone
predicted.
far above, yes. So this year, that is gonna be a blessing for us. Since we kind of cut back on the budget, it's gonna be a blessing to help us, definitely. Like I said, I put everything, when I need to yank it, I yank it back over, but again, I try to get the biggest bang for a buck and keep it out there. I call it the savings, but it's Texas class. Okay? If you had any questions, but, look, definitely if you have not looked at your January financials, it will definitely smooth out those negative numbers you saw, like on enterprise and a little bit on, the general fund. Again, those are just timing issues on things when we receive money. But going into the next quarter, you should be, I cross fingers, everything should go fine, and you should be in the plus for the next quarter. You should kind of negative numbers, unless something hits the fan. So,
I've got a question for you. All right, all of this data is available on our website now?
not this presentation, but
What's the status?
But the reports, yes, the quarterly reports, I put them out there, out on our website, so December's is out there.
You know, we had a goal to get a star rating.
Correct.
How are we coming on that?
Okay, so I did my research on that. Due to, we don't have great information in past years. We do have information since I started, but beyond that, it's only been almost 2 years. So beyond that, we have to have a 5-year history of, it doesn't even have to be a good rating, just the correct information out there. So we don't even have enough information to get that. But on a good note, I did find something else that we could possibly get certificates and things on until we get our data up to par and have enough to present to them to get approved. Our investment policies and things like that we've already gotten blessed, that I brought to y'all already last year. I have submitted that, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we are going to get a certificate for our investment policy and things like that, that I can already get a certificate for.
Okay, so with what you're presenting now, putting on the webpage, then henceforward, within after 5 years of that, we would be.
Yes.
be
Yes, starting of last year when I put that information, if I keep this going, and every year I get a little more fancy with the budget and stuff, so you'll get a little more information. In 5 years, yes, we will be able to submit for the.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Questions? All right, Chief, you're up.
Mayor, good night and reports.
First, I'll do the regular monthly report, which is your packet. You say you know your thoughts and things. Yeah. I only saw one fall, most of them. Notice that we didn't have. Monthly reports for the month of January, is showing the side-by-side comparisons of your numbers are looking on track for the way they were last year. And also some of the other reports. So we're actually required by law to give a report to the governing body prior to March on the racial profiling data. So in this report, you'll find all that data, but also use the opportunity here as a whole. The end of the report, and I'll get this to Lori so that it can also be posted online electronically. Beginning March is kind of historical data of the department about staff personnel. One thing I want to touch on that is we did have 2 officers this year receive their bachelor's degree. Officer Salazar and Lieutenant Thorndale both received their bachelor's degrees this year. So proud of them for that work and efforts they've put into it. Crime statistics. 22 to 23 variable, our number of aggravated assaults were down. Normal assaults, I said normal assaults without serious bodily injury. Burglaries and larcenies, combined property crimes were pretty similar year to year. Burglaries were up. And again, we use
percentages, but again, with small numbers, percentages are sometimes very misleading. So it shows there's a 125% increase, but not 49. So still low numbers and big percentages. Some items to note, the arrest numbers, 2022, we had 78 arrests. In 2023, we had 92 arrests. And to me, interesting about those arrests, that's a percent increase in arrested individuals. The offenses also increased from 100 to 112 to we talked about before. So as we arrest people, it's for multiple offenses at the same time. To me, the number that is important out of that is in 2022, we had 37 felonies. In 2023, we had 55 felonies. So the seriousness of the offense has increased. Misdemeanors actually went down. The amount of misdemeanor arrests that we made went down. Due to the felonies, we still had an increase in overall arrests. Our number of traffic accidents went down from 99 to 62, which is a good thing. Hopefully, we're being more visible and trying to be more proactive and helping us in those areas. Live numbers are pretty consistent. The intoxication pretty consistent. We had a little spike in open containers. Let's see the person while they were intoxicated had open containers. I'm going to put over for a citation. Had an open container in the vehicle, but was not intoxicated. So we see the citation before the open container. Violent possession, which is way down, which is good. All of our narcotics were down. All of our drug numbers. Numbers that y'all ask about normally on a monthly basis is number of traffic stops. So individual stops, that's the number of traffic stops we had. So in 2022, we had 1,834. 2023, we had 2,366. So it's a 30% increase in traffic stops. Citations went from 557 to 877, so we had a 57% increase in citations. And warnings went from 1269 to 1489, so 17%. I know there's been a lot of discussion about warnings versus citations. So the overall number went up 30%. Within that number, citations went up 57%, and warnings went up 17%. So those numbers are kind of in line. And again, as we talk about, we mostly deal with people who don't live here. And so of all those citations, 15 of those were residents and 869 were non-residents in the city. The next information on here is racial profiling data. This is really the stuff that we're required by law to present. I think our numbers look good based on the breakdown for individual stops. I think the percentages are pretty in line with our population. Jumps out as racial profiling. We have had no complaints of racial profiling last year.
I'm getting the inclination that white people like to speak, though.
It's the numbers of people, again, so when you look at the population, that's the numbers they look at, which to me is not always a fair indication when you look at a place like Blanco. And we stopped more individuals that live in the entire state. So when the state looks at your racial profiling, they look at the racial makeup of your community. Not realizing that 281 to 50,000 people go through here, so we can't control who's traveling through the city on those stops. And also we do report, and officers are required to report if they knew the race prior to the stop. And officers knew the race reference the city 33 times out of the 2,066 times. So, and that's people tell us that a lot. So when you're driving home tonight, we're often working, you can tell the race in the vehicle approaching you at 45 miles an hour in the opposite direction at night. You have a lot better eyesight. So it's not as easy to do this. And again, the majority of those violations that receive citations were 645 of those. accidents, majority of our accidents are two vehicle accidents. Truck tractors were involved in 4 of the accidents. So out of the total number of accidents that we had, 4 of those involved commercial vehicles. We had as many people strike animals as we had 18 were. That's my report. Unless y'all have any questions, a lot of information here. I know there's a lot of stuff on the agenda, so y'all have this copy to take and we'll get it posted up. Questions? Always available.
Chief, thank you so much. Moving on. The consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes and then approval of the amendment of the calendar. We have the corrections to the minutes.
None for me.
So,
I will make the motion that we approve the consent agenda.
okay, your second.
I'll start.
New business. And this is, the proposed amendment to the UBC regarding, block sizes. This is Councilmember Smith. Make your presentation or?
All right.
It should be NB1.
One.
NB1. There you go.
Okay, so our presentation about is about maximum block length. And this is a tool that I think will help preserve Blanco's character. So what I'm proposing is to set our maximum block length at 275 feet. This is how Blanco was originally laid out and how most of Blanco is today. So the picture on the left here is an old map of the original layout of town. There's smaller blocks up here, the 275 feet by 275 feet. Down south of the river, they get a little bit bigger, but these are still smaller blocks than we have today. Some of these streets don't exist. If we zoom into kind of the core Blanco right here, these are all 275-foot blocks. To give a visual, the courthouse, everything at the courthouse, the grass around it, that's 275 feet by 275 feet. The block that the library is on, that's 275 feet. The Uptown Blanco complex, it's all 275 feet. So what's the problem? The current UDC allows for blocks of up to 1,300 feet, which is about a quarter mile. To help visualize it, where the brown lines are, those would be the streets. If Blanco was built with 1,300 foot blocks. It's just a lot bigger scale. I think we lose a lot of our small scale, small towns feel. So I'm proposing that we bring small blocks into the UDC versus the large ones we have now. We're not allowed to. So what are the benefits of small blocks? Maintaining Blanco's character by extending the original layout. That's what it's talking about. It'll also help limit big blocks style, strip center style development. And there's also some benefits for walkability and traffic. If we look at the big box style development, so this is Spring Branch, this is 281, and this is the Walmart right there. This is in front where they have the Taco Bell, IHOP, all of that. So if we look at the block of the Walmarts, and it's 1,100 feet by 1,100 feet. This block here is 450 feet by 1,100 feet. This is kind of the typical suburban style development that's happening all over Texas. And this could be built under our UDC today. This style is what I'm trying to protect Blanco from. Not saying we can't have these stores. There's something I'll get into in a later slide about that, but just to kind of sprawl it all. So we go to the next one, we compare 1,100 foot blocks to Blanco. This is what that would look like. So this is the courthouse square block. This is the block we're in right now. So we get 9 blocks in that same size that one Walmart is in. So I think if you just think about that, the scale that we have here is a lot smaller. So the next benefit is walkability and traffic. So these two pictures are identical except for the streets. The buildings are in the same place, the market, the school, and where people live. This is what we already have with small blocks. This is, again, that kind of sprawling development style. So for traffic, what's going to happen is everyone who lives in this area will come out here and get on the main road. Everyone who goes here has to get out on the main road. Everyone who lives here has to get out on the main road. So that makes these roads very busy, traffic-y, and unsafe. You look on the right, you live here, here, here. There's tons of different routes you can take and disperses traffic and kind of avoids getting traffic jams and busy, fast roads. For walkability, if you live at this house, you're over here, the distance is much shorter, you can get right to school. If you live over here, you gotta go all the way, the distance is much farther, as well as you gotta go onto this busy, unsafe road. And so these are the proposed changes I have for this change. Kind of a lot here, but some of these things were requested by planning and zoning and feedback, so kind of gets a little more specific here. But to highlight 275 maximum block length, the next one's an option for a double or quadruple block. So if you go to the next slide, a double block would be 2 blocks together without this road in the middle, and a quadruple block would be kind of 4 blocks without the road in the middle. I propose that we allow that with planning, zoning, and council approval. It would allow some of the larger scale development to come in, but it would have to go through those 2 bodies, community input. So an example, this is Blanco, this is closed. The outside box is a quadruple size block. This inside would be a double block. So Lowe's could actually fit on a double block and kind of move the parking lot to this area. This is the HEB in Wimberley, so you have a smaller scale HEB like this in a quadruple block. Just want to talk about R1. So I think we could exempt R1 from block length. For 2 reasons: not to force everyone to have a small lot. If they want acreage, they can go in R1, and also to protect long-time big landowners. They have 20 acres and they want to give 5 acres to their kid. They can still do that. They can get R1 too. This other one, I want to run by planning and zoning first, so we can skip that for now. And then also this one is maybe some changes to commercial. I also want to run by planning and zoning first, but it just kind of keeps the scale smaller, so we can skip that one too. And what I didn't mention was that I asked planning and zoning not to give a recommendation at their last meeting, but I did give their presentation. So I think tonight, no action discussion.
I've got a question, and I appreciate your effort on this and understand your goal, I believe, but I need somebody to refresh me on an R2. What's the maximum density per acre?
I know R3 is 5 per acre, so it's gonna be less.
She's 3.
I believe it's 3. I believe it's
So, I guess if I'm looking at this, I know you can apply for an exception, but if you have a 5 acre tract square, that's roughly 465 by 465. And if you're gonna divide it up into lots, and you're gonna put 15 lots in it, then your maximum block length is 275. Then at that point in time, I think it might be burdensome for that development to have multiple blocks when they're only gonna have 7.5, homes.
So
There's a lot of acreage.
that's a good point, and that's actually one thing that I skipped over. I think what we could do for R2, 3, and 4 is give a maximum block length of 605, so that's a quadruple block, but require that they have a pedestrian path.
Well, I understand, but I'd like to see that as this gets developed. That would be one of my concerns would be, at that point in time, you've got 7 houses and you've got another block. You know, or if they're on both sides of the street, then you're down to 3.5, you know.
The council member that actually, I think in the original plan that Councilor Simpson was talking about, we are looking, or I should say, the planning commission is looking at exempting one from the block line.
But this is R2.
Correct. Right.
I think maybe a different standard for R2 may be applicable in this.
I do have a question as pertains to the infrastructure. It would seem that there's a lot more asphalt and roads to maintain in a small grid pattern.
So I think there would be the same number of cars, so where and tear would be spread out more evenly, or spread out over the road. The weekends would be spread out. That's a good point, but it's what we have today, and there's trade-offs, and I feel like the small blocks is something that we need versus the bigger.
I appreciate it. Construction discussion. So I'm looking for action tonight. Thank you so much. Moving on, number 2, this is Warren. This is the lift station project.
After I've spoken to the engineer of record, he's decided, as part of the lift station is now operational, he's decided that this improvement is not needed. And, you know, I think David explained the actual the particulars on it, but it's not, basically the circuit protector is not needed. So, that will have to be done.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Are you going to do the presentation on the next one more as well? Or do we have? I introduce it in August and I'll
introduce us as well.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll just give a little, we were approached about this months ago. And my response to Warren was, no, but hell no. But, we were going through quite a few issues. With our water. This is the Oaks, which is just down Highway 32. It's right across from Dirt Works. We have a water line. It's a small mobile home park. Been there a while. And they got some serious issues with their wells and their water system. They approached us if they could hook up to our water system. It rose to the level where I think you agree that it's trying to bring the council and council. I don't have strong position either way on it personally, but I think it cross that threshold where we should take a look at it.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing from staff and probably our city attorney as well on possible implications. Because of course we have an ordinance that I think speaks to this and states that this is not something we're in the business of doing any longer, which is providing water service to entities outside of the city. So it's a complex issue. It's a community in need. And yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
So before the song, basically the mayor correct. This is going to be this property is basically Cooperative Dirt Works on Ranch 32, and it is we have a 2-inch water line that is outside the city and outside of ETJ. Essentially, what the request is going to be is to provide, basically provide them water, and tonight you're here just to listen to this. What would be required next month is, if this is something we want to move forward with, is you're providing water to someone outside the city and not annexing them, and we need to grant them a variance, and we need to know the setup and do all of those things. So having said that, I don't know the gentleman, but also if you're here and would like to make presentation to council, thanks, sir.
Council,
My name is Elson Johnson. I'm here representing the Texas section of the American Water Works Association. And we're the state's largest organization of water professionals. And what we've been doing is been actually providing pro bono service to Oaks Mobile Home Park. They came to our attention about 3 years ago. Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, which is a state agency that regulates public water systems, made some visits out there and basically issued a number of violations related to the infrastructure, related to operational activities and water quality. And so we've been trying to help them come up with a solution. After our evaluation, really the best solution for a number of reasons is the connection to the water system. And so I'm pointing out to Alpha 32. One of the biggest hurdles they're going to have about completing, doing it themselves, like putting in new wells or putting in additional tanks of storage, is that the water quality coming out of the wells is very safe. As you can see, we have the sulfates and the TDS, total solids, is 6 and 5 times the TCT limit right now, and it's only going to get worse. And so then looking at data that the Texas Water Development Board has about the potential of building an additional well in general area, they'll all go back to kind of same level. And so the treatment costs would be astronomical for that community. It's a small community. It's only 23 connections out there. And so basically after going, at least 4 or 5 visits out there and looking at other options, we really think that's really the only solution is to connect to the city of Blanco through that 2-inch, through that line that's across the street from their works. So one of the things that we just wanted to point out is that the folks out there, they're part of the community. They work here. The owner of the Mobile Park says he purchased it to be able to provide some affordable housing for folks who live out there. And it would be a low use, about 1,000 to 2,000 gallons a day of water. And it would really help keep that community there and keep that affordable housing out there. One of the things also to just point out is that the owner is willing to pay for the infrastructure costs to make the connection. We feel like there probably would need to be some replacement of the lines that are there, and as well as some of the meters, just to make sure there's not any leaks or unmetered water out there, which would increase the use. And so basically that's what we found, and that's what we're here to ask, is just at least consider extending service to Oaks Mobile Park. If you have any questions.
I've got a question. I don't know whether they go to you, Mr. Johnson, or if they go to the staff. So I'm going to just throw them out there and see who comes back to me. All right, I'm confirming this is not within our ETJ. I mean, that was
Not our ETJ.
right. Are we in a position to, if we were to go forward, I know it's not an action item tonight, but if we were to go forward with this, could our supplying of water, could we have a provision in there that would limit the amount of water we obligated to supply? I mean, if we say, okay, this is going to be limited to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, whatever the number is, we could make that requirement. Okay, that answers one of my questions. If we end up, or when, not if, when will we end up in stage 4 again? We would still be obligated to supply that water. Once we start supplying that water, we're gonna, with that obligation is ongoing. If the mobile home park goes away, then whoever owns that land is still entitled to that water, correct?
No, you could condition it on the usage.
Okay, we could condition use.
Because of the nature, subject to, you're gonna have to give a variance for this to occur unless they agree to annex. And I'm not sure, is this property contiguous?
It's not.
So it would have to give variance, and you would not, by condition of the variance, you could impose a cessation of service on change of usage, unacceptable usage. So have them come back for approval on that under those circumstances.
Is this property eligible to be annexed?
It is not, it's not contiguous.
And this is gonna be one single meter?
Yes, there'd be a master meter. It would be set up on the rates, basically how we do like general apartments. It'd
Right,
be-
it'd be the same thing.
Right, it'd be like times 23 homes.
Right,
Right.
right.
It would just be one master meter, yes.
So they would pay 23 availability fees?
Is that how it works? I don't know how y'all's rate structure works on that, but it's, it'd be separate taps. No, it's one tap, but like,
It's one tap, so they, whatever the meter size is, availability fee for multiple.
right,
base.
right.
And then it's up to him to bill his 23 customers, pay for that bill.
Right.
My comment is that, you know, I think we've got an obligation to our citizens to be conservative and frugal with the available water that we have. And from Tim nodding his head and Jose back there, I think that's all I can do. So head nodding, I reckon that's part of it.
Yeah, it's not hard to spot. It's confusing with Tim.
Yeah. And so, you know, if we end up in a, or when we're in a drought situation, I don't know that, this is just my personal opinion, that I'm ready to commit to allocating water on a continuous basis outside the city.
Can I ask a question of council and, is there a storage tank on site?
There is, but it needs to be replaced. But there is one there.
Because my thought is that if the city requires them to put in a storage tank where they have 10,000 gallons of storage, then when we reach stage 4 or above, we could say, hey, you've got 2 days worth of storage. Or if we have a main break where we need the water in town, they have a storage until we get our situation figured out. That's 5,000 gallons a day is 1% of our water usage.
What's the longest you pull processed water in a storage tank?
It depends on your disinfectant byproducts and everything, but they should be able to hold it 2 days. I think our turnover rate's 24 days, 1 day.
Okay, so really they can hold 2 days.
Right, they can even hold 3 days supply as long as it maintains good quality residual.
Okay. All right, those are my comments, and thank you for answering my questions, and thank you for the presentation.
Jim, I have a question, and it's figure out how to word it, because we've been talking a lot about our ability to control development around here. With Texas Water, you know, coming up to talked about running a pipe down 32. As far as the test move, I mean, is this us going out there and doing this a good thing for us as a city strategically? Does that make sense?
I'd rather answer that question in executive session.
Would we be able to do something like say they would need to be in a different stage, like they were always on stage 3? Can we do that?
None of the homes there use irrigation. I've drove through the mobile home park, I looked. From what I can tell, it's basically need use only, those homes that are out there. I don't see like gardens or really nice flowers. I mean, it seems to be.
Any other questions, comments?
I appreciate the presentation. I'm certainly sympathetic to the community. We have an ordinance in place, and for reasons that a lot of people that have been here longer than me know, because we have offered water outside the city and done so very poorly. And not always to the benefit of the citizens. So I appreciate the presentation.
And you're doing this pro bono?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. All right.
So the only thing I'm going to ask, is that offline, that or online, council will just give the direction to staff on what they want to look into. Obviously, I understand that you're not making a decision tonight, but the next step, if there is a next step, is to do a process. So I'll tell you that. Think about that tonight and think about what you want to do.
Okay. Warren, you're up next. This is the hot fund disbursement for the eclipse preparation.
Libby's gonna talk to you about this. Essentially, she's gonna be asking for, sum of money for preparation for, I'll explain that.
There again. So I think last time I said, I told you guys I would be coming back. So this, I'm asking for $10,000. It's not part of our budget that we've already received our money from, because that's already budgeted. This is specifically for the eclipse. And so the reason for the $10,000 ask is for a number of reasons. One is a musical act that we have coming to Gap Park that Sunday, the day before the eclipse. The reason why we put it on that Sunday is we are expecting those days of impact to be between the Friday before the eclipse and the day or two after. And after a couple of days in town, there's only so many restaurants you can eat at in one day and shops you can go into. We have visitors in here. They're going to need something to go do. And so we hope that they will come out to Gap Park. Also, a lot of the hotels are doing a Sunday, 2-night minimum, Sunday and Monday night. There's not a lot going on Sundays. And our restaurants are going to be tired and it's going to be maybe a little bit over it by then. So part of the money is for the payment of Marshall Ball, who's the artist that's coming. We incidentally have requested a grant through the Texas Commission for the Arts that would pay us back up to $2,400 for $8,000 fee. So should we get that, we'll just send that right back to the city. The rest of that money will be used for advertising and taking care of the folks that are going to be parking out there and parking out there the day of viewing as well. And some banners for the night sky that wants to put them. They want to put a banner along 281 right by the Texas Park. So that's the most amount that we need. Any of that money that we don't end up using, we would certainly send back to the city, or we talk about us keeping it to do something else with it. But yes.
I'm gonna ask another question.
Okay.
All right, so the 10,000 is with the assumption you don't get that.
I guess so, yeah, because we don't have, the person I've ever asked for it, they've never.
So if you get the 2,400, we could expect it unless there was an allocation approved for it to go somewhere else that will come back.
Correct.
Any other questions? So that was the question. That's all I have.
Provide some funding, or some funding information. Right now, we have paid the balance for this year to the chamber. So I think you saw the number, you should have saw something like $171,000 in the hot fund reserve. We normally get we have traditionally gotten 15 a year. We've traditionally given them 90. So with the balance of that, we have the money to provide that fund. That's all I'm saying.
Any other questions? I guess the only question I have is this typically the sequence of events, the performer's been contracted and paid for already. Yes, so
We basically pay a deposit out of our American Festival money to secure the artists.
So kind of doing this retroactive.
With Texas Commission for the Arts, it's that way too. You have to go through the process of contacting the artist, committing the artist, and then you can apply for the grant. So we should be finding out soon. Hopefully we'll get it. They haven't turned down blanket requests before. We used to request when we did Arts in the Park years ago. We'd give at least one of those artists a series was through the TCA, and Blanket Performing Arts also gets grants from them too. So they don't get a lot from that year, so when we put them in this general.
I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Blanco Chamber of Commerce Hot Funds disbursement request not to exceed $10,000 for the April 8th, 2024 eclipse preparation.
Is there a second?
I'll second with a comment that this comes out of that reserve. I mean, that's what the money looked out to spend anyway.
You'd like to add something if grant is approved?
Well, I think that's.
It's gonna be in the minutes.
Okay.
I'm happy with
Okay,
that.
okay.
Motion is second, all in favor? All right. Thank you very much. Awesome. Okay, number 5, Warren, this is possible action on the resolution for HR Green Asset Management Plan Municipal Wastewater System.
Thank you, Mayor. Presidents, so this is a resolution to adopt an asset management plan that was created in 2019. The reason for that, to actually adopt this now is back in 2022, the city applied for both a water and a wastewater PIP through the Texas Water Development Board. And the water PIP, as you know, was approved and the wastewater PIP was not. This application goes through a gentleman by the name of Bill Moriarty, and he works with Ardura on getting all this information and getting this submitted. The reason why the wastewater PIP was not granted to us was because, which is a combination of both funds, low cost loans, and some of that in grant form we don't pay back. The reason why that didn't happen in wastewater PIP was because we didn't score enough points to qualify. And so one of the low-hanging fruit things that you do to get approved this year, so I'm fairly sure we're going to get, would be to adopt an asset management plan. And we actually won in 2019. So said that if we adopt that asset management plan, that'll give us an additional 5 points in our effort to get this wastewater development board. If you have more specific questions, I'll answer those. Questions of staff?
Fiscal impact is,
None. It's already been done. The study's already been done. The city just needs to adopt it.
Yeah.
One of those that's been sitting on the shelf collecting dust.
That's correct, sir. It's sitting there without being adopted.
We've got lots of stuff. It's good.
But this will help us.
Yeah, as CMF, have any comment on it? Okay.
This is not this one.
This is not
this one.
This is
So,
that.
Mark, once you had anything you wanted to add?
I don't have anything.
I mean, does it change anything we're doing? It's just.
It doesn't change anything. It does give us a much better chance to get the wastewater bill.
Okay.
Which we are submitting next week.
Okay.
The Texas Water Development.
How much did we pay for this in 2019? Yeah,
I don't know.
we didn't adopt it.
I don't know why I was turned to that one. I don't know why we didn't adopt it.
Okay, so, but your recommendation is to adopt it?
Yes, sir.
Questions?
There's no downside to this at all.
There's no downside at all.
That answers all my questions.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2024 R OOX or 008. 008, correct? Yeah, okay.
It's probably 07.
Okay. With HR Green, the HR Green Asset Management Plan Municipal Water System. Municipal wastewater system.
Gotcha. Second?
yeah, no, that's good. I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Very good. Thank you so much. Moving on, number 6. This is possible action on approval of HR Green capacity assessment proposal. All right.
I'll take this. So, the Paxton study,
Introduce yourself. For everybody else.
OJ Armstrong, I'm chairman of the CMAP committee, which is, infrastructure and asset management. A lot of new projects. City provide services. Okay, so, this particular study, one of the issues that we recognized early on was that with planning and zoning activities going on, they were defining areas as to what could be developed and had no knowledge of the underlying capacity of the water and sewer system. And so basically we stepped back and said, plus the other entities, that were wanting to be annexed into the city, we made the comment that, well, tell us the capacity that you need to know that. And so that's part of this whole capacity study by HR doing. It takes about 6 months. We'll do the water and the wastewater. What we're looking for is the capacities that can be delivered, and do we have any hot spots, do we have any trouble spots in terms of capacity? Because we've got 60-year-old sewer lines, 60-year-old water lines. It's a mismatch of items out there. This will be done on a computer modeling system, so it's a very high level look at it. And then we would look to our Ardura once we get those finalized, that they can go back in and say, well, we need to schedule this to be rebuilt at this time, and how much those types of things cost. But it gives us a basis to look at it. It'd be very beneficial for P&Z and Bobby Max Group as well, in terms of what could you develop currently and how long it'll take us to get the capacity. One of the other major issues is that the elevated tank is the only way we keep pressure on the system. And we have a hydro tank in Cielo Springs that pushes the water up the hill. So all of this is critical, and that's why we need to know our capacities and both in the water and sewer lines so we can manage those types of activities. And again, this will be all done by computer analysis. Again, it takes 6 months. It's about 50.
It's 50,000, I think it was $50,450.
$50,374.
So it's over 6 months. We can actually cash flow this through water and wastewater.
Is there, I'm seeing here on the documentation, there's a annual maintenance renewal agreement.
Yeah, that's for, so they run our GIS system. They hold all the data and information. We in the city have access to it. They update it. And also, I think we provided it to our group to be able to all the data. So that's the purpose of it. I want to kind of give you an analogy of why knowing capacity is. Super Bowl just finished, and Allegiant Stadium has 1,111 toilets, which they provide. That's enough toilets for every 5 seats in the stadium, which means the wait time for the bathrooms at halftime is less than 15 minutes. And in 30 minutes in any of the other stadiums, that's a luxury if you get in 30 minutes at halftime out of the football stadium. And so the comments made before they committed to finish the stadium, somebody might ask a question. Everybody flushes at the same time. What happens? And so basically they proved that the design matched the capacity, if indeed the worst case scenario could happen. And that's basically what we're looking at is we need to know the capacity so we can decide on what kind of development is going on.
Can I throw my 2 cents in real quick on something too?
Sure. Something else when the city's going after grants, funding, loans, PIS, they always ask what's your capacity. We're like, we need to upgrade our current infrastructure. They're like, why? And the capacity study helps us answer that question also.
I know this is coming like we were talking about the area there northwest, trying to find a sewer line to get there. There's issues with the size of the sewer line.
Exactly there. couple things I wanted, he did a great job with it. I think that really explains things. But number one, we have 3 projects, and as we're looking at trying to permit them, sometimes we're guessing on whether, not capacity, but whether we have availability and actually the pressure to actually, or capacity to provide them, that water or sewer. That's one thing. The other thing, this does tie into your comprehensive master plan. Yeah, whether you can actually develop in certain areas. And, I often get questions from the planning commission of, what's your capacity? What, you know, how does this affect that area? And sometimes we're not able to give a good answer on that. This would help with that a lot.
I know that big apartment complex in Johnson City, they had to replace the sewer line all the way to the sewer plant. They had
That's because they just didn't anticipate.
Yeah. Sure. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Can I add something? This has, beneath this, it will recover if you ever adopt impact fees. If the development that we predict is coming here, you're gonna need to charge and collect impact fees. And you cannot, authorize the development and recovery of impact fees unless you have this study. You've got, by statute, you have to have this study. So I'm encouraged by the fact that with cash flow, but I also think, although it would happen over several budgets, you'll get all your money back. I've got a question for you. All right, $50,374.06 is not another. Right. Okay. We do have and this is my memory, it could be completely wrong, but we do have a $40,000 cash flow coming from the meter transfer. Is that not correct? That it's discretionary for our use?
Yeah, it's a while, ways out, I guess.
Yes, and you also have $152,000 fund balance in the enterprise as well.
Right.
And in our budget, we have a $50,000 it's in a black in budget. So you have ways to recover that. Under 50, the 50, and then the 40. So you have the money to cover that.
And that decision as to where we get it will come back to us at a later time, or do we make that decision tonight? Where we're gonna come up with the 60,000 and stay in the budget?
So my recommendation is going to be that you do it over 6 months.
Well, they offer that.
Correct, but then also cash flow it through our rates, and we might even be able to make a little bit of that go into the next budget. So we can certainly work on it.
I'm trying. One of my concerns is if we try to prepare for the future, we need to increase our budget.
Right.
And you know, if we just diminish the enterprise fund again, or 50,000.
So the 23-24 budget has a $50,000 differential in there where you're actually $80,000. So if you get that probably far down to
you know, I guess at this point, you're looking for a motion tonight?
yeah, look for a motion.
And I'll throw this out there. I think they can take the 40,000 we got earmarked coming in off the meters, take the rest of it out of the enterprise.
Are we confident in that number, the 40,000 from the meters?
I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, one more question. It was on the presentation, it was great to get us. Our INS, our interest that we're making on our investments. We've made $47,000 the first quarter.
Yes, sir.
She predicted $60,000 annually.
Yes.
So we are bringing in quite a bit more through our investments than we predicted, correct? At this point, if we carried out, we're looking at possibly making $160,000 interest.
General fund council member?
Correct.
Correct. So the answer is yes. We'll need to make sure that there aren't other things that are eating into it, but I do believe there's gonna be probably pretty close to $50,000 surplus in that. However,
I can go and spend it.
yeah, but however, remember, half of that interest is from the general fund, and half of that is from the enterprise, so you can't commingle. Correct. But I think a combination of what you're talking about and a combination of that $40,000. That's a good point.
You guys have questions?
More questions?
I'll just make the comment that it's not a particularly exciting or satiating way to spend $50,000. But if we're gonna take on these big infrastructure needs that we all know we have, this seems imperative to doing so. So we can talk about how we're gonna fund it, but it seems to be.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve H&R Green capacity assessment proposal in the amount of $50,374.50, with a consideration that the $40,000 of this allocation for funding will come from the anticipated cash incentive that was tendered us on the meter change, and the balance come out of the enterprise fund.
A second. I'll second. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you very much. Eclipse in April, city response warning.
What we can kind of go over the response the city hall has on what's going to happen, if we think it's going to happen on April 8th, eclipse, and having suggestions here. Let us know. So the plan is to have city hall, actual city hall office open. With just 2 people there, myself and the city secretary. We want to make sure that we have our other staff safe. They live for their own day. We do think that going home is very difficult with 2 in the morning and all the other highways jammed up. But we would need to have at least 2 people at City Hall just in case there is issues with the police department or Infomart, certainly the public still have City Hall open. Also like to discuss that April 8th is actually a Monday, and I talked to our crash service, our Waste Connections, they agreed to move that date pick up to the next day, Tuesday, so we have the 9th. And then other question, and this could be something you all may or may not like. I have been talking to them about a pickup on Saturday just for commercial entities, which will include City Hall, the park, and any commercial people that are being utilized during this weekend. That would be an additional $1,500. That's something don't think it's necessary, but that is something that I've been working with Waste Connections on. And then the other issue is in the front area, we'll have 3 parking spaces that are for staff only, blocked off, so that we have 2 cars there, and then we'll have one empty space for PD or anybody that needs to visit us during that time. Chief, is there anything you want to add on your response?
So, we're kind of planning for the window. There's certain areas that are planning major events and are expecting large amounts of people, kind of bracketed by those. Kerrville is expecting 300 to 400,000 people. I believe Ranch out in Burnett is having an event. I think they're expecting 30,000 people tomorrow. Fredericksburg is like ground zero. Bernie is ground zero. So we're not really sure which one to take. We have been meeting for over a year. Monthly, myself, all the emergency management, police, fire, EMS, schools, Chamber of Commerce's. We're asking people to register. If they're gonna have a large event, we have very low turnout. I don't know if that means we're gonna have very low events or just very low participation in letting us know where those events are gonna be. And that is available online on our website. They can do that. We are gonna double up our staff. We don't have, 1 day shift and an opposing day shift. We're gonna double up shifts for a couple of days because we don't know what to anticipate. So in town, we believe that Yet Park is gonna have an event. Jim of the Hills is gonna have an event. So they're gonna have canceled school for that day. We're not sure if they're gonna rent out their parking lot or block off their parking lot. And so what's concerning to us is day trippers from Austin and San Antonio and 281 where that's going to be to traffic. So we secured fuel, water, alternate means of communication for emergency services. Just trying to get the word out to the residents that this is going to be like Lavender Fest on steroids. So if you're homebound, make sure you have your supplies. If you're just all those things prepared for traffic to be very long. That's our major concern is our ability to get around to respond to calls as they come in.
I've got a question for Warren. Thank you, Chief. Okay, so you were talking about having 2 staff at City Hall.
Yes.
And you mentioned there were a lot of people working from home.
Yes.
Okay. Do we, when you say working from home, I guess, is there a conflict if they're using their personal computer? It's not city business, I don't understand that.
So essentially what I'm basically saying is that they'll be available for talk on the phone. Or, some may have laptop, I think there's one city laptop. It's basically more of an availability that they'll have. My standpoint of covering the staff, I think there's a couple people that take within 3 or 4 hours to get home, so I don't think it's practical to also have a bunch of cars at the workplace. So they're not going to be. There may be some things they're doing, but they're not going to be using their own.
Right, that was my question. When you say work at home, I envision work at home from what you're anticipating, so that answers my question.
Okay.
I didn't want to violate some of the standards. Thanks.
We'll look at some things
I don't know what the numbers will actually be. Is there a predicted number that's been thrown out?
No, sir, we really don't know county-wide. 1.5 million for the hill country. Yeah, there's some predictions, and it's based on the path of totality and who's going to be in totality of the longest. Texas, the hill country is like there's more people coming from outside the United States and different parts of Texas to the hill country. But I think the majority of those, it seems, are going to go to these planned events.
Okay, and so a large lavender festival for us is 40,000.
45.
Okay.
Our biggest share was 25, so.
And I've been on garbage detail during it. It seems to me we can do some extra garbage pickup during the 40,000.
The restaurants are going to need,
Lavender festival.
restaurants are going to need up to that before they'll never make it.
So I've just mentioned that because I think Warren's suggestion that we entertain an extra garbage pickup, like. Right, but I think there's also. Correct, so perhaps we need an extra commercial.
So we look at commercial. If you did commercial, it's 1,500. If you did commercial and residential, I figured that maybe 4,000 was not our budget. If our in City Hall would also be the commercial entity, probably being utilized that way.
Do we know how many of the commercial establishments are going to close or be open? I know the restaurants.
Some of the restaurants are that are only those will be open that day because it's a Monday. So normally we're light, but I don't think they see the potential.
We had a hospitality town hall last Monday. Invited all of those establishments and had pretty decent turnout, but we had specific tip sheets for them, but they're dealing with their suppliers. Chess Club have the same suppliers, so they're having to figure their suppliers have already told them they're not gonna try to come on Monday. So they're trying to find out about getting and then how they can store up or whatever, but most of our restaurants are planning to be open because it's a really good opportunity.
Overflow, blocking the other communities.
Well, the Fredericksburg has been good for 2 years.
Yeah.
Kerrville's booked. So the next, they're already coming here. Most of our Airbnbs are booked, most of those, except for the big hotel. So it's kind of like, it'll be booked even more.
Feeling about that extra garbage ticket for commercial? I know you think it might not be, we might not see as much traffic as some other people think. I was curious.
Really install that.
I can tell you that, the 290 winery corridor east toward Johnson City, every one of them are happy and Eclipse event, and probably 90% of them are sold out. So people coming up 281 is going to be, let's see.
It's, that's really our concern is that the overflow, that people don't have a plan. The people who have been booked out for 2 years, the people who follow these things, they have a plan. We're not really concerned about that. They've got their place rented. They know what they're going to do. They know they're going to watch the eclipse. It's our concern is the people who wake up Monday morning in San Antonio and go, "What? There's an eclipse. Let's try it somewhere." Yeah, and they wind up parked on 281 and like, with no food, water, items.
Yes. Look at us.
From a public works standpoint, all my guys are on call. They know to be available. We'll check the parks, trash, and restroom 3 times a day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Thank you so much. There's no action.
Are we taking any action? Or
No.
No, but do we plan to discuss a possible extra garbage pickup at a later time? Is that off the table?
Well, no, I mean, if you want that, I mean, I guess you can, like, my staff will do it if you know.
I'd like, you would ask where the 1,500 was coming from.
I'm just waiting for that. I mean, it seems sensible to me to give a garbage truck if we think they can maneuver around the city.
Well,
They're just gonna have the increase in sales.
Well, if it
I
happens,
think that's. So no motion. That discretion or will.
keep an eye on it. We're not that people yet.
no, and you can bring this back in March and my staff or go through things.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Consideration, discussion, take possible action on ratification for resolution, transportation planning and advisory committee.
Mayor, council, the transportation committee met a couple of weeks ago, and they selected as their chair Ken Welch, vice chair Bill DePew, from Cambridge as the secretary. I think you have in your packet the other 3 members. There's one empty spot, so it's filled. The questions set.
I was there, so I don't have any questions.
Okay. And so this requires ratification and approval of resolution, 2 different actions. What is it?
It's one thing.
One thing.
Confirming the creation and the appointment, ratifying the appointment of these people.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, on the ratification to resolution 2023 R015 and approval of resolution 2024 R006, Transportation Planning and Advisory Committee.
Second,
All set.
all in favor? Great, it passes. Thank you so much. Next, this is the appointment of a committee to review the RFP for administration of the Resilient Communities Grant. Interesting.
Thank you, Mayor. So the council approved, going out for this grant and looking at administration. And we are receiving, for administration for the grant writing, we received already, I think, 2 or 3 applications, and this closes on February 26th. The grant could award up to $300,000, and the question that staff have or wants guidance on is the committee that reviews this, how do you want to set that up? And I guess my recommendation would be to select a committee that's basically based from different, the mayor, CMP group representative, that could be Bobby or somebody else, CMAT representative, planning commission representative, and maybe somebody from historic or streetscape. So that would be the option here is this committee would then make a recommendation on who we want as the grant writer. After that happens and we get the grant, then the same thing will have to happen with the group that does the land plan or the comprehensive plan or whatever it is that you decide to use that money on. But for this, I just want to see what you want to do with the committee.
And would it, if we so chose, would it satisfy staff to give this burden to you?
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions? So you're looking for action?
So, yeah, so basically, if you're satisfied with staff getting someone to each of those committees, create this committee, or each of those boards, then that'll be fine.
And this would wind down at the end of that project?
Yes,
It'd just be for the sole function.
that would just be for this sole function, and it would be also to look at who does the comp plan as well. That's what you, or not.
Motion or the
Committee goes to the great.
Like you guys know, right?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the appointment of a committee for the RFP for the administration of the Resilient Communities Grant, formation of that committee, the discussion of our city administrator on the framework of what brought for us here.
Next. Second. Sorry. Any more conversation?
I would like to revisit this if we do go out to an RFP for the comprehensive master plan writers. I would like this motion to just be grant. Is that
Administration, not for the writer, not for the.
just for the grant, not for the writing plan?
Yeah.
That I would understand.
I would like to amend my motion to.
All in favor? Wait a second. Yeah, that's it. You have a second? Yeah, all in favor? Yeah. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Number 10, this is for you, Lori. This is election services contract with the city and the county for the May 4th.
We have our general election May 4 to elect 3 council members. And last year we contracted with Blanco County. Rosemary Adami is our elections administrator with Blanco County. I think Blanco County did a wonderful job. And I'm asking council if we can, contract with them again. We have a joint contract currently with the groundwater district and the school district, but I've been told the groundwater district is not having an election, and probably neither is the Blanco ISD. So, I know Johnson City is already contracting with Blanco County, and we did a joint election with them last year with us, like the city of Blanco, city of Johnson City, and Blanco County. So I'm just asking that we contract with them again.
Okay, will our costs be similar to last year, or will?
It should be,
Our costs won't increase because there are not other participants.
right, because it was just the two of us last year.
Okay.
So it should be around the same cost. We would split them.
Was it 1,500?
It was around 10,000.
Oh, really?
But it's in the
Yes,
budget, right?
and we have it in the budget. I think we have like 6,500 budgeted. But I think we should be able to come up with the rest.
I remember a consideration before was if there were other things to vote on, like county elections to vote on, that we wanted to put them together, so it's kind of a one stop.
Yeah, it's convenient for the residents, and also with the county, we would have like countywide polling places rather than just like one place to vote.
So I should know that there are other things we're voting on in this election besides just, like, or the county level election.
The county does have an election also, but I'm not sure what they're voting on.
Can we verify can you tell us what the cost will be?
I don't know yet until, it's all based on actual costs that we spend on the election. But it'll probably be about the same as last year, because it should be, the last year was a mayor and two, it's like 3 and 3 each time. It'll be the same polling places and the same ballot, we usually order less ballots there's usually a lower turnout for just council members than the mayor. When there's a mayor election, the vote turnout is usually higher, so it might be a little less, but
How much is allocated in our budget?
$6,500.
But you won't know that until after the election as to what the cost are.
Right.
But there's no way it's gonna double.
No, it shouldn't double.
To just one sense of comment, I mean, I guess if there aren't other ongoing elections, we don't have that same motivation of trying to capture as many people as possible voting on, different districts. I don't know if that changes our opinion about whether we should be contracting.
Don't, it puts both county in the hands of the city.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
Right. If we don't, then I have to run the election myself.
I understand. And I'm sympathetic for.
So everybody in the room will be my election judges and clerk. I have all your numbers.
Curious, Councilmember Moses, where your thoughts are on this?
Well, I hate to leave the city open to questions of validity of land conflict. I was bringing that forward, but I think that if we handle something in-house, such as an election from members, could be questioned by members of the public.
So from your point of view, it's money well spent.
I think so. Okay, I think so.
That's all they do all day is elections, so
Exactly.
I do it once a year.
Yeah, no, I agree with Ryan. The feedback I got last time is that people are a lot more comfortable with the results.
Okay.
With having been handled by the county. Like you said, that's all this office does. Put them in all the staff. And all that.
And it's all electronic versus if the city does it, it's paper ballots.
But we would have multiple polling places.
Correct.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that on the appointment of the committee to. I'm on the wrong one.
Never did.
No, we just did that. Sorry. Okay. For approval of the election services contract between the city of Blanco and the Blanco County Elections Office for the May 4th, 2024 uniform election and related services.
Your second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Never see it. Very good. Thank you so much. And number 11, thank you. This is consideration of ordinance 2024-001 general election order, providing for the holding of the general election on May 4th for the purpose of electing 3 council members at large.
So this is a requirement of this from the state and the Secretary of State's office. You have to order an election and you have to do it by Friday the 16th. So I gave 2 options. So option A, since we're going with the county, we would go with option A. And it just lists out the only difference is like the polling places, like the election day polling places, and I listed as First Baptist Church, Good Shepherd Baptist Church, Blanco Courthouse, and Blanco South Annex. So we would be going with option A.
Option A. Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? I'd like to vote.
I'll make a motion on the approval of ordinance 2024 001. Following option A is outlined in our.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? All righty. Unanimous. And that concludes the open meeting section. Second session. Come in and come back out. 8:06. Yeah.